everyone, it's me, Robert, back for another video. Yes, I firstly have to say, sorry that this video has been delayed slightly. It has been baking hot here for the past couple of days, really. It's been, oh, I hate the heat. I mean, I'm more of a winter person. I mean, I like rain, snow, all of that stuff, but it's just been baking here. I mean, temperature's up to the 30 degrees, so it's too hot for me. So basically the weather has been meaning that I haven't had the energy to really do one of these videos. But hey, I'm doing it now. Firstly, before we get going on the review, just to answer a comment, because I do read the comments, however I can't reply to them because, as probably most of you will know, I can't comment on anything these days, because I won't go along with Google, because, no. Anyway, yeah, someone asked me what sort of software I use. I use Windows Vista on a laptop, which is pretty shit, but hey, it's quite good at doing these videos, so I can't complain. So today I'm here for another review, and I'm taking a look at none other than Transformers Galaxy Force Soundblaster. Now, for those of you who don't know, Galaxy Force was Cybertron, the series, in Japan, much like RID in Japan was Car Robots. So it was basically exactly the same series, but just slightly changed in terms of translation. And Soundblaster was a repaint to come out of that line. Or, as some of you may know him, Logus Prime. Now, he is an ancient transformer that possesses amazing powers over time and space, equal to that of Vector Prime. Now, he can take on any shape or form that he requires, and his partner is the bird bot Hell Buzzsaw, which he uses to speak through to mere mortals. Now, it's never stated, but there are many things in his bio that sort of hint to him being one of the original 13. Now, this is before your Prime nonsense, this is before your Covenant of Primus, this is before all of that. I'm talking Unicron trilogy, I'm talking Vector Prime, I'm talking Primus, Unicron, I'm talking the original, okay? So all of you Prime lovers out there, don't get annoyed, I'm not talking about that. But yeah, the first thing is that, as I said before, he has powers over time and space which are equivalent to that of Vector Prime. Now, we know Vector Prime is one of the original 13, which kind of hints towards Logus being one of them as well, because only a Transformer with those sort of powers could be a 13, so possibly. Secondly, this picture that was on the World of Transformers website before it closed down clearly shows the 13 in shadow. Now, one of those shadows looks a hell of a lot like Soundblaster or Logus Prime. The actual toy looks a hell of a lot like him to the left, I believe. I will try and ring it on the image again. So that kind of hints towards him being one of the 13, you know. However, it's never outright been stated by Hasbro that he is, so that will probably just remain a mystery, to be honest. Now, his only appearance in fiction was in Beast Wars Reborn, which was a 4-part text story published in a Japanese hobby magazine, which takes place after the end of Beast Machines. And when Optimus Prime or Megatron die at the end of the series, they are resurrected by Logus into the Unicron trilogy universe, and their memories are wiped and they're pitted against each other in Logus's celestial temple type place. It's never really explained properly, but just kind of imagine that the celestial temple from Star Trek, that kind of gets it. Yeah, but they're pitted against each other. Now, at the end of these battles, Logus Prime introduces himself as Soundblaster and offers his powers to Megatron in the hopes that he'll be his successor. However, Primus realises this, and so he sends Vector Prime to try and stop it. Now, when Vector Prime arrives, he's shocked to find out that Logus would be giving powers to a tyrant bot like Megatron. And when he asks why, Logus only responds in cryptic answers. However, Megatron doesn't believe Logus. Regardless, Logus starts the right succession, and he sends both Optimus Prime or Megatron to the surface of Animatron, which in Cybertron was the jungle planet, and restores their memory just before the Celestial Temple, as we're calling it, explodes. Now, it's never really understood why Logus wants to give powers to Megatron. It's never understood what happens to Megatron and Primal. It's never understood if Logus actually survived the explosion. it's a very strange little piece of Transformers universe that a lot of people don't know about, and it's kind of just left as a thing that most people forget about, to be honest. But I think that's why I like it, because it's just it's so out there, it's so unique in a sense. Plus, you know, it's the only fiction that this character actually has, and for a toy, when I come to buying a toy, the fiction and the character does influence my choice of it. So anyway, enough talking about the character, onto the figure itself. Now, Soundblaster in his Orc mode is supposed to be a stealth jet. Yeah, kind of doesn't really work. Now, before I actually talk about this more, let me quickly give you a little bit of information on the mould. Now, this mould was originally used for the Cybertron Soundwave, which actually, the character did actually appear in the series. However, it was then repainted into this, Soundblaster, as a homage to the Generation 1 Soundblaster, who appeared in Headmasters. And to be honest, I like this version a bit better. Now, mainly because of the paint, and as you can see, the paint is phenomenal on here. We have this lovely, lovely matte black, and with gold highlights all over. On the wings, on the actual tips. You've also got chrome red plastic on the inside there. You have red translucent plastic for the cockpit, and on the top there for the symbol. It's just absolutely lovely. Plus you've got this really nice silver fins on the back, which really just pop. And I can tell that this is Soundblaster, because, yeah, it looks exactly like him. Now, as much as I like this mould, it doesn't really work as a jet, because if you look at it from any sides that isn't that or that, it kind of loses it. If you look at the side, you can see there's just junk everywhere. It's not really a... that wouldn't really fly, would it? And if you look from the back, there's kind of junk as well. Even if you look from the front, it kind of doesn't look right. Now that is because this isn't properly transformed, because this bit, which is the cockpit, is notorious on this figure for A, not really staying in place properly, and B, breaking. So I really don't want to break this figure, especially as this is quite a rare exclusive repaint of the Soundwave mould. So I'd rather have it that my spaceship looks a little bit weird than having a broken transformer, to be honest. Now, even on the bottom, you can see the robot head, and you can kind of see what will become the chest. However, that leads us on to gimmicks, because he does have gimmicks. As he is a Cybertron figure, you do get the Cyberplanet key, which is just, from the looks of it, just a repack of Sideways. Now, he does have a port at the back here, and simply you push it in, like so, and then you push down on it, and hopefully this will work. You see the bomb bay opens, or his chest opens. Now, with it, accessory-wise, you do get these, which are... They're supposed to be bombs, but to be honest, they look more like bits of engine block. Now, you get 3 of these. You get this one, you get this one, and you get this, which is a bit more special, and I'll talk about that more in robot mode. However, you can actually fit them into the landing bay or chest or whatever you want to call it, and they can just simply fit in there, and then to close it, you just simply remove the Cyberplanet key when it's closed, like so. And then you have the gimmick in which now when you open it, they'll fall out like bombs. Yeah, it doesn't really work, to be honest, in my opinion. But hey, at least it's a gimmick. And to be honest, the gimmick works more in robot mode than it does in its Orc mode. Now, he has one more feature, and that's on the inside of the wings. You see these grooves here? Now, these can slide into the grooves. However, it is a pain in the arse to do. And these tabs here, you feel like you're going to break them, to be honest, because they simply slide in like so, and you can fold them out as additional weaponry. But to be honest, to try and peg them in there and keep them in there securely, it really does feel like you're going to break the tab. So I really don't want to do that. As I said, I'd rather have my figure looking, well, less like a jet mode than having a broken figure, to be honest. But yeah, overall, I really like it. Now, the only worry for me is that this gold plastic, this gold paint on here, over time that'll wear. I can imagine a lot of handling of this figure, it'll start to wear. Now, there isn't any signs of that now. However, as you can see on the chest, you've kind of got a bleeding over onto the red plastic. Now, that's nothing to do with wear. That's just a quality control issue. When this figure was made, they just skimped out a bit on the actual painting of the chest, because you can see it's kind of fading around the edges there. But hey, I don't mind, because in jet mode you don't see it, and plus in robot mode it's his chest, and it's less noticeable, to be honest. So yeah, that was his stealth bomber mode. To be honest, it doesn't work as a plane, but as a Cybertronian jet, you can kind of get away with it, because in Transformers these days, if you stick the word Cybertronian onto the front of anything, then as long as if it's like this, you can kind of get away with it. I mean, it can be like the most terrible bot and the worst alt mode ever, but if you put Cybertron on the front, then people will go, oh, well, that's kind of a bit more believable. So yes, this is kind of a Cybertronian fighter jet, or stealth jet is what I see it as. But hey, you know, the alt mode is just as the alt mode is good for this figure, but it's the actual robot mode where it gets better, and that's what we're going to have a look at next. However, I will not be transforming this on camera, because A, you know I don't transform figures on cameras these days, but B, especially this figure, is a pain in the arse to transform, and you wouldn't really want to see me struggling for about 10 minutes to try and transform this thing, because trust me, that's what it would be. So, see you after the jump cut for his robot mode. So here is Soundblaster in his robot mode, and I must say, he is fantastic. Now, as you can see, you've got the main colour schemes coming through from the alt mode. You've got this matte black, you've got more of this red plastic, you've got the gold coming through, you've got the red chrome where his wings were. It looks fantastic. It looks so dark, so evil, and that's why I like this figure a lot. Now, he does have extremely good light piping in the head. Now, I don't know if this is going to come through, but it's basically a red plastic, so when it shines absolutely perfectly. And I really do like the look of him as well. He looks like Soundwave. Now, up until this point, the only Soundwave figure that was released was the Generation 1, because in Beast Machines and Beast Wars, it was only repaints. It was never a new Soundwave mold. But when you got to Cybertron, they came along with a new Soundwave, and really, up until recently, this was the Soundwave that everyone was using for their classics, their universe, their Generations version. And I can see why, because he looks like Soundwave. He has all the elements of the Generation 1 bot, but just updated into this new, snazzy, Cybertronian look. That's very... And the aesthetics of Cybertron, the actual line, you can clearly see has helped this figure. I just love that. I absolutely love it. Now, articulation-wise, his head is on a ball joint, which means he can do a really good range of movement, to be honest. His shoulders are on swivel joints, like so. They're also on ratchets, so they can ratchet out, like so. He can swivel at the elbow. He can bend at the elbow, like so, 90 degrees. He doesn't have any wrist articulation, unfortunately. And there is one problem with the articulation of this figure. These bits here, which was his cockpit in his alt mode, and this bit, which was the front section, do get in the way. This bit more so, because this doesn't tab in. It's kind of used as a shield, to be honest, but it doesn't really tab in. You can have it like that, or like that. It's not really good, to be honest. That's the one gripe I have with this figure. Now, he doesn't have any waist articulation, unfortunately. His legs are actually on ratchets, so they can ratchet out like so. They can ratchet back. They can ratchet all the way out like so. And he has a ratchet at the knee, very stiff ratchet, so he can bend outwards like so. Plus, he has the weirdest bit of articulation I've ever seen on a Cybertron bot, which is this. He can do that. Why? What? What there? I mean, it's mainly due to transformation, but why? I mean, all it looks like is he's just broken his leg. What? And I really don't understand that, to be honest. And the only other articulation is that his feet, they can move up, and he does have little heel spurs on the back. But overall, yeah, good range of articulation for a bot of his time, to be honest, because if you compare it with a lot of other Cybertron bots, the articulation waned here and there. Mostly it was good, but some of them had really terrible articulation. Now, features, because I did say he had more gimmicks in this mode. Now, firstly, let's have a look at these. These, as I said before, are his bombs. Bombs, I quote. They're really, just call them engine blocks for now. And these can actually transform into his weapons. This one, you simply take out these little red bits here and get in there, like so. Bit hard there. And as you can see, that's a weapon. And this weapon, in fact, actually pegs in. There's a peg on his shoulder here, and you can peg it in like so. And look, you've got a bit more of a Generation 1 looking Soundblaster there. Quite good. I like it. Plus, he can also hold this in his hand. But to be honest, hey, it's Soundblaster. You know, he has to have a side cannon. Now, his other little engine block can also transform into a gun. And you simply take this whole section here, rotate it out, flip up the barrel like so, and then come in and get the handle. And that can be his quite awesome looking gun. It's not as good as the actual side cannon, but hey, it still works. And you can simply put it in his hand like so, and he can use it as a quite an awesome looking wielding gun, which means he has now 10 times more firepower and can blast all those Autobots into oblivion, which I find very happy about that. Now, I did mention that he has a third block. Now again, it's in his chest at the moment, so again, you get the Cyberplanet key. The port is now in his back, in basically where his arse is, so yeah. Make jokes, if you will. You're sticking a planet key into his arse to open his chest. So you simply flip it in, and then voila! His chest opens to reveal the third engine block. Now, this engine block is quite special, to be honest, because unlike the other two, it's not a gun, it's not even a weapon. It's actually a little bot. Now, of course, you know Soundwave, and you know over the years he's had his minions with him, and this Soundblaster, or Soundwave, is no different. So this simply transforms, like so, I'll show it on camera because it's quite easy, into what you and I would know as one of the cassettes. However, because he isn't really a tape box, it's not really a cassette, is it? So, simply transform it. And as I was saying before when I was talking about his bio, this is the bot that he uses to talk through Logos Prime. Now, again, I don't understand why that is. To be honest, his fiction that he has kind of sets him up as this god, which, yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't know what's going on there, to be honest. And there we have a little buzzsaw. Yeah, this is Buzzsaw. Now, the original version of this mold came with a red version of this, which was Laserbeak. However, this is Buzzsaw, or Hell Buzzsaw as it's known in the manga. And I love this little dude. This is probably the most poseable little Laserbeak type bird that we have got since the up until the Masterpiece, to be honest. Although I think it may even beat the Masterpiece, because it has so much articulation. The head can look up and down like so. The wings are amazing. They can go all the way up, they can go down, they can swivel like so. They can even, and this is just the brilliant part, these little feathers on the back can flip down like so, which means you can get him in some really, really nice looking poses. So if you want him landed, you can flip it up like that, have his legs down like so, and there you are. you have Laserbeak that's just landed now, and you can even, if you want, flip these back slightly. And there you are. It's just so awesome, and I really wish that when this figure came out, he came with more little bots like this. However, they only came with the Buzzsaw Laserbeak mould, which is kind of a shame. Now he does have one more gimmick, and that is he can attach to Soundwave like all good Laserbeak should. As you can see, if you can see that there's a post in the bottom of him, and on Soundblaster or Soundwave there's a hole there at the top, and you can simply put him in like so. So you can have Laserbeak or Buzzsaw perched on top of your Soundwave or your Soundblaster, which is just, again, a lovely little thing. And I can see why this mould would be used in many people's collections as a Classics or Universe version of Soundwave or Soundblaster, because, yes, he has all of the little homages to Generation 1 while still keeping it a new and refreshed look. So I can understand. Now, this mould was repainted one more time, and that was as Blaster in the Universe line. However, to be honest, if you're going to get a version of this mould, try and get either the Soundwave or the Soundblaster one. To be honest, I'm a bit biased, and I would say get the Soundblast one because he's got nicer paint. But if you're a mega Soundwave fan, Tony, then you need to get the Soundwave. But don't get the Blaster one. I mean, it's okay if you're a fan of Blaster, but I just don't think this mould works repainted as Blaster because it had no mould changes whatsoever. It still had the Soundwave head sculpt, I believe. It still had, it still came with a Laserbeak type thing that they repainted red, and I think they called Sundor or one of the obscure Blaster cassettes. But nothing else really changed, which is why if you're going to pick up this version of this mould, get Soundblaster or get Soundwave. Because they are definitely worth it. And to be honest, that brings me to my overall thoughts on this figure. He is just so fantastic. Awesome, to be honest. He is pride of place in my collection. And I have to have a huge thank you to the man who sold me this at last year's Auto Assembly. Because as I said, these reviews are all linked to AA. 3 weeks now, less than 3 weeks. To Andy Millman, who sold me this last year for a very decent price. So thank you very much, Andy, if you're watching this. Oh, just awesome. To be honest, I wasn't actually going to get Soundblaster. Here's a little story for you. I was originally going to buy Soundwave off of him, the original mould. However, his Soundwave was slightly broken, so I said, oh, well, what about the Soundblaster then? Because I saw it was the same price. He was like, oh no, that's perfectly fine. So I was like, well, I'll get Soundblaster. I'm glad I did, to be honest, because for me, this extra level of paintwork, this gold, the red, it just pops more than the normal Soundwave colours, which is why I like this. And to be honest, this could work for me. This is my Classics, Universe, Generations, whatever Soundblaster, and not that new Fall of Cybertron piece of crap that looks really bad and the discs are like round things. No. That's horrible. This is the Soundblaster that you want for your Classics, your Universe, because he is just so good. Yes, would I recommend this figure? Definitely. Go out and buy this if you're a Decepticon fan, if you're a fan of Soundwave, if you're a fan of Soundblaster. If you are, who the hell are you? I mean, really? Just, wow. Hello. If you're just a fan of a good Cybertron toy, or a good toy that homages everything that was good about the character in G1, get it, because you won't be disappointed. If there is one complaint I have to make, it's that his stability when trying to actually stand him, it wanes from time to time. He's got these little heel spurs on the back, which don't really do that much to support him, because as you can see, he's got a bit of junk on his back. But he still stands perfectly well most times. So yeah, definitely get this. Which brings my review of Soundblaster or Logos Prime to an end. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope this hasn't been too long. And yes, less than 3 weeks to AA now. I can't believe it. Hopefully these next couple of weeks are going to go so quickly. And do you know what? I could really do with AA. I mean, like the past couple of days they've been hot. It's just been horrible. And I'm just like, well, I really wish I could be at the Hilton now. with all good friends, talking, laughing, just enjoying myself. So AA can't really come soon enough, to be honest. And on that note, I will end today's video. I will probably be back this week for another response. If you're doing another response, please keep them up because they're awesome. I'll probably be doing another response video this week. So until then, thank you for watching, guys, and I will see you all next time. And get this bot because it's so good! Get it!